and survive it. Noctem, who have been on a tear all day, just walk in and rip this game right out of their hands. Oblivion had suffered a loss earlier, and we're trying to stick a res. Unfortunately, as much as reses have gotten a lot more powerful recently, the fact that you respawn with your guns, with your shields, it's also gotten quite difficult because teams recognize that that window to punish is super narrow, and they'll jump on you immediately as they see you resing.
Yeah, definitely. The window to punish in these lobbies is a lot shorter than other lobbies that we end up seeing. And Noctem has been on a tear, like you said. They've won several fights, and they're not slowing down anytime soon. Zone pulls a little bit back towards Energy Bank rather than up north. So all the teams that are further away is, you know, have to rotate.
Falcons ripping an evac out of Lotus. Let's find out what they're doing as we listen in with Falcons.
Yeah. Lighting, right track.
Good.
I'm in right track.
Selling. Run right. Immediately.
Running.
Oh, go to the building immediately.
Yeah, they're coming. I'm a low late.
Okay.
I'm here, I'm good. I'm good.
In there, in there. Go right side.
Yeah.
No, this one.
Yeah.
Check out that way.
I think I had someone low
I had someone.
bracelet. Someone's in there. So the castle wall. Someone's in there.
Remember where I'm right. Click. Back on the field. Yep.
I forget where we're safe.
Keep walking around.
Yeah, I'm coming. You're
That looks free. Looks very free.
Over there.
What about
That's
bridge? There's a Moby low ground bridge.
Yeah, that side looks free.
Okay. I'm healing real quick.
No bins are looted.
Yeah,
There's some on low ground.
Again, care rating, please.
Yep. Looted bin on the way.
Ping scout.
Let's go. Scout.
G7 scout here.
Be careful, rat. Yeah.
You see to the door. And the window.
I'm looking. Good. Good. I'm blocking this door.
I'm playing out.
I'm full blocking door. I'm mauling here.
Playing like this space on me is fucking insane.
I have 300 light.
Yeah, and you know, seeing Falcons rotate right there was refreshing because a lot of the southern side of Energy Bank was actually free because most of the teams opted for a northern pull, ended up pulling a little bit back too much, and they were just, oh, no, this is free. Oh wait, this is unlooted. Oh, this is also free. And they're kind of just picking their spot right now as other teams are also opting to rotate back now. But some teams that still don't have the information, a little bit slow.
In this case, we're maybe picking up the pace on this building invasion. Exo Clan sat right next to 100 Thieves, neither team really wanting to be near the other, as Zero Tenacity have hit a respawn in the meanwhile. Zero Tenacity were hitting south side, were around there earlier, and now have the chance to return.
You know what the cool part is about this building, Dian? It's the fact that you can't get up and down. You can only do it through a specific door, so there's no like staircase or anything you can climb inside to fight each other. This is one of the best coexisting teams that there is in the game, and this building only specifically is on Eden. No other buildings has that option where you cannot progress between floors.
Yeah, you share the same real estate, but you can't talk to each other. You have separate entrances.
Yes.
You know, it's nice and it's safe for both of these teams. Doubly so because they're still technically right on top of each other and have each other for cover from other approaching squads. Now, Team Falcons do not have that luxury. If they face off against FaZe Clan, it may just be a poke war through this singular door, but remember, with the existence of bubbles and everything, if one team, FaZe or Falcons, decides they want to fight, it's happening.
Yeah, they can easily bubble through that. I'm honestly a little bit surprised to not see a ramp wall right there. Oh, and here, seeing on the map as well, the zone pulls back northwest a little bit more, where Cloud9, EXO, and 100 Thieves, that building we just talked about, is in the center. It tends to end a little bit around it as well, so that's even better for those two teams and those three teams. And I think all of the other teams right now are getting a little bit stressed, honestly, because now those two buildings are occupied, and there's not much area where you can coexist as nicely without needing huge resources.
Yeah, now that we've got that zone revealed to us, I'm really looking at 100 Thieves and EXO to maybe win this game. It could be that powerful, the position that they're in. NRG were positioned towards the north as well, and that was looking quite good. But a team like Gaming Gladiators will have a very difficult time, as they've got to rotate out of this huge traffic jam that's on low ground towards the western side of this zone that is going to have a bunch of people not only moving from it, but shooting at each other and being shot at by other teams.
And this is kind of the cost, you know, what GG did. If you over-rotate too early, you're going to have a hard time to actually get a decent spot later if it pulls off of you, which it did on majority of the teams. So now they're kind of scrapping for the slots and areas to coexist in. But the teams that actually rotated mid-speed ended up getting even better positions, and that's where we see the difference. If you know how to call where the zone is ending early on, obviously early rotating is better. But if you whiff that, now it's not as good. Mid-speed, it might even be better as well, whereas like if you're on an edge, you have more leeway to decide later on because you're just looting essentially for the first 3 zones anyways, and then, you know, it gets really comfy, as we saw Aurora marching on through the choke. They were on their way through the choke, and they can just chill there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really liking Aurora's position. I think that we have to praise Cloud9 as well for making a pretty good zone read. They're in a similar spot where I think Cloud9, with their zone read this game around, have demonstrated their experience with playing hard zone, as we talked about just last game, but they've been a little bit less flexible than they were on World's Edge, where on World's Edge they got to depart, take a couple of fights over at Epicenter. This time they are sitting in a building, and ultimately that could still be punishing. What I'm really curious about, though, is that south side that we talked about. It was looking really powerful earlier. Do you think that that's actually lost any power as we get further into this game, knowing now that ultimately this ring is pulling a little further north?
Yeah, so initially what we saw is that there was actually about 5, 6, 7, 8 entrances to get through when you wanted to opt for the north side. Now, they're coming back. So even though you're on the southern end, you're actually not actually in the next zone, and other chokes are still open. So that means the teams that, you know, rotated too early now have to rotate back. They might be coming through those chokes that you initially thought was free because it was free when you went there. They might not be for your next rotate, in which case the southern teams could get punished on macro, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, it is going to be a tough adaptation. Energy Bank, though, very familiar in terms of end zones for a lot of these squads. There's a lot of curiosity for me as well around Shadow 3690, who I think have been playing their typical style this tournament. It hasn't been nearly as flashy as it was last time, but they also took a little while to warm up last time that we saw them at a LAN. This time they're going to be coming out of the eastern side of the ring, over by Galleria, where we saw GHS Professional earlier. And with both those squads starting to rotate through, we could actually see them clash or take the north and south side separately. I am happy to see some energy being kept up by our EXO fans in the crowd, as always.
Yeah, EXO always, I think they're on every LAN. They're always there to support the team, and I really, you know, appreciate the fans. And speaking of them as well, you know, seeing here, staying locked in. This is honestly one of the times where some people like gets even more locked in because they're just so focused, and some people actually get cold while we're waiting for pauses. And you know, it's going to be interesting to see which teams are still staying locked in. Because remember yesterday during the pause, we were like, oh, a fight is about to happen with Fnatic, a pause happened, and then 2 seconds when the pause unpaused, Fnatic already wiped the team. I'm like, those guys are locked in.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun to see if people can stick, you know, focused or stay locked in.
I think we're fortunate that there are a lot of fights that are about to break out, but nobody's actually in the middle of one right now. So it looks like we'll be starting the match back up as we speak.
Nice.
And our team's not going to lose anybody just yet. Thank God. Thank God we didn't have any of that shenanigans.
Yeah, and you know, as you said before as well, Shadow rotating in from the east, Aurora rotating in from the northwest. All the teams are trying to walk in. Now, my question remains, because there's still so many teams alive, are they going to opt for actual 3-piece, 4-piece here because some of them feel free right now? Or are they looking to get deeper? Because I feel like getting 3-piece is fine as long as you maybe not overextend, but a lot of people have been kind of overcommitting with usage of utility as of lately. And that's when you know, when you lose bubbles and ramp shields and also Newcastle ult, at that point, you kind of have to commit because you can't rotate out in the open without those utilities.
Yeah, really responsible play by Aurora, just making sure that nobody rotates in behind them. Just going to be playing on the edge, that's what you got to do. And Aurora and TSM, both, who are on the north and northwest sides of the ring, are the teams that have to do that. Everyone else really has a edge position, but is looking to get rid of it as soon as possible by pushing through other squads and into, ultimately, still this building. It's
Yeah.
going to be held by 100 Thieves and Exo Clan. It's still fantastic, and I'm still thinking, looking at the way that this next ring pulls, that we're going to see some top 2s and 3s out of these two.
Yeah, I think those two teams are definitely the most comfortable, but I even would say that EXO has more opportunity for kill potentials because they can actually roam outside the building without getting punished. And, you know, they're definitely looking to get some kills by teams that have to rotate the next zone closing, really. Cloud9, however, not in a bad spot. Gaming Gladiators looking to take out LG as well in another build.
Yeah, very fast, very clean, and very well done by GG, who have turned things around since their performance yesterday. I mean, they managed to still pull things back even in their games just 24 hours ago, but I'm really liking the look that we're seeing out of GG today.
And FaZe Clan right here as well, rotating in like we said with the zone, looking to take out Orgless and Hungry. This is the thing, as like earlier on you can rotate, but now there's too many teams there. Orgless and Hungry actually got sniped by Shopify Rebellion across the map, as FaZe Clan got a spot now, but they still have to keep going. And on the other side of this is Aurora and Cloud9. Where can you go?
I mean, this is really tough. FaZe Clan have to move forward, but they have no good options. Orgless and Hungry and Shopify Rebellion on one side, Aurora on the other, and right now it's just a little bit of rocks, a few ledges for cover, and now they're forced to expend a bubble just to make sure that they're able to stabilize, not lose anybody in a flash. Reignite, however, going down so quickly, as our ninjas in pajamas will be the ones to take them down. FaZe put themselves in the middle of two squads. Remember, it's Aurora and Orgless and Hungry on one side and the other, but FaZe Clan setting up defensively in the middle of both. Watch Orgless and Hungry die to Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, Orgless and Hungry getting pinched there as well. FaZe managed to survive. I was a little bit scared about that bubble usage because they hadn't taken too much damage when they put it down, but they made it work. That's the most important part. GSH is actually engaging into a fight in the center of the next zone.
Good up against Sharky. GHS Professional, pretty commanding spot given this fight. Since they've already bubbled, they're going to wait to use the mobile shield and then send Taida in. Team Burger got wiped off the face of the map, but look at these nades! GHS have got a bunker into the very same spot they just besieged. Now having lost one, Taida can't hit quick resets anymore, and it's going to have to be a Rufa who does it.
Yeah, getting this reset is actually crazy. I'm pretty sure people just assumed that they could get the reset, but they couldn't just yet. Shadow right here is walking up as well with the Eva and just cleans up the fight with ease.
That was just a Newcastle bump into nothingness. Very nicely done from Shadow to recognize weakness and take, as a two-person squad, a whole team out. Zhao, however, has gone down, and it leaves the Ninjas open to start moving in. Unfortunately, Ninjas find that they are not alone here. They're not just looking at Shadow, they're also looking at the Gaming Gladiators.
Yeah, being in a pinch is not good. They definitely have to make space for themselves, either by nades like you saw, or if they have to push up and take other corners. But staying in the pinch is definitely not worth it at all. I think now, though, as teams are recognizing that, they actually have to take at least one fight. Everybody's starting to opt for the fight because fighting earlier is almost always better, because if you come late with the zone closing in, you're just going to get gate kept by several Chilas.
Gaming Gladiators actually very well set up despite this sort of awkward look with the Newcastle walls, because nobody else is looking at them right now. They've got Shadow 3690 off to the north, but remember, Shadow 3690 are a duo, and Ninjas don't seem interested in taking this fight up against GG just yet. However, TSM very interested in taking a fight, take out NRG with extraordinary speed. A little bit of help from 100 Thieves on that front as well. This circle gonna erupt into even more chaos as the zone's starting to close and teams are preemptively moving. FaZe Clan sitting right next to TSM just now, and Zero Tenacity have already begun their fight up against Shopify Rebellion. Having lost one, Kinder's on 1 HP. Shex is eliminated as Falcons come in for the third party.
Yeah, and Shopify Rebellion here sitting kind of nice, a little bit relaxing. TSM, however, joins the fray against FaZe on the northern side that we saw before. Huge Shopify comes down, Bearhold pulls through with the Eva, and that was a fast cleanup, and that's just how shotgun fights go. They get thirded, however, by Aurora, who was lurking from the western side, heard the noise and came swinging. Don't even take a down, and they just clean up the fight, armor swap, and they're ready to keep on going because the zone is moving in 50 seconds. They have time to reset properly.
I mean, this is the Aurora edge play that I think we were all hoping for coming into this champs, this game. Aurora took control of the north side of the map, but they are not the only ones here. There's still another team. 100 Thieves have left the building and are now challenging Aurora for the north side of the map. Well, Falcons fight for control of the middle. Shadow 3690 are going to go down. But looking across this map, it's Falcons sitting in the middle of a war zone as around them there are fights for dominance over the edge, and EXO are still sitting in this building.
EXO is still relaxing. Aurora, however, not so much, needing to fight against 100 Thieves, pushing up behind them into a straight bubble fight. OJ Rain here gets a huge pump. Actually gets into a trade with 100 Thieves. OJ Rain solo up still here. It's gonna be a tough fight to close out as he goes down to the 100 Thieves camp burning with 1 HP pretty much.
Yeah, that was tough, but sliding out of the bubble came with its risks. Aurora are down. 100 Thieves are also down, however, as Ninjas came into third party all of that. Very nice timing from them, and it leaves Ninjas as the one team left on the northern side of this ring. EXO Clan still in the same building they were in, but as the last round is closing, EXO will finally have to give that up to take their fight up against Ninjas, and Shopify Rebellion, who has sat in this corner the whole time, will be forced out into either Falcons or Gaming Gladiators. EXO take out Ninjas, and we are down one more team, moving us into the top 5, with EXO now the kings in the north.
Falcons still in the middle of everything. They might have been in the middle of the war zone, however, they had the stairs and already set up everything. So they're actually in a pretty solid spot, super close to the next zone as well. They're looking to hold out the southwest as well from the Cloud9 is on the other side, and they're just shooting down, finishing up the Shopify as well. Cloud9 still on the same side. Are they opting to hold them out as well? No, they're getting bubbled up on by Cloud9.
Cloud9 have finally stopped giving Falcons all this space, all this time, and are pushed up on them with the bubble. We do have Newcastle, Mobile Shield in the back, cooking, but Naughty with blue shields is hesitant to commit even after the 0 knock. Falcons are on the low ground, they are on the ropes, but C9 can't seem to finish them off. Sorcerer finally going to take a little bit of space. Shubi moves on forward. Falcons have to run, and they run right into EXO, taking out Gaming Gladiators on the way. There's a res inside an enemy bubble, but Falcons are somehow managing to do it. Hal pushes on forward, double tap with the Mastiff to take out Switty. EXO are next on the chopping block, and EXO are down! Falcons take out 2, but Cloud9 sweeping behind them to take the win.
Yeah, Cloud9. The thing is that Cloud9, it's not that Cloud9 couldn't finish off Falcons, it's they opted for the rotate, the micro rotate, which literally put them straight on the edge instead of in between every fight.
Yeah.
Managed to just join the fray late and get that win was huge. However, on the opposite side of things, Falcons, even though they ended on the second place, they took down so many teams because they just went for, hey guys, Cloud9 actually got the edge that we had initially. Now we're just looking for kills because we're playing for second.
Yeah.
And this is the difference between a good IGL and a great IGL. Being able to distinguish when you cannot, like the odds are against you to win the game, so you opt for more points by getting 3 kills plus placement instead of maybe getting first place and dying third with nothing. It's always better. Consistency, I keep talking about it. You just want to put those points on the board because the average overall is only 6 points per game. Falcons put way more than that on the game, and even more when they added 2 team wipe templates.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with what they were able to accomplish in that end zone, because getting away from Cloud9, Cloud9, like you said, very smart to apply a little bit of pressure and not actually commit fully to the fight. But for Falcons, the only play was to move away from that fight. Like, they just can't sustain that sort of pressure from the high ground, and yet they managed to turn it into so many squad wipes that they continue keeping these kill points higher than anyone else in the lobby, and their points as a total, well, has clearly put them in #1. 66 points overall for Falcons over now 5 games with 1 game left. Cloud9 coming up behind them, though, still in touching distance of the first place spot, is looking really good, and Shopify Rebellion and Noctem coming up behind those. You were saying earlier that NA really showing up today. Falcons, Cloud9, Shopify Rebellion all being there, with Noctem right slotted into 4th before NA comes back again. Really interesting to see in day 2.
Yeah, this is the fun part as well, is because even though we see the the higher scores of 66 and 61, 48, 47, 46, even almost Gaming Gladiators, but I would say all the top 5 are just 1 game within each other. All you need is really that one one decent game. You know, even if you get 12 placement points, just 6 kills, 9 kills, and it'll bounce you straight up that leader.
I mean, you can see how far Cloud9 have been able to bounce given just this singular game. 15 points for them is no small number, although it is one of our closer games in terms of the top couple of squads. 15, 16, 12, 11, all still very close, but the first place is going to mean a lot. Now, the Game and Gladiators also getting a really nice game for themselves here. It is 11 points, which again, may feel a little bit low, but when considering that we're aiming for 5, 6 points a round, having an 11-point round still is going to feel really good for the Game and Gladiators.
Oh yeah, most definitely. You know, if they have had other worse games as well, they feel like even if they had a cold turkey, it's like, no, it's fine because we caught up now.
Yeah.
Or if they already had good games, it's like, okay, we have one free game is what I like to call it, where like, if stuff goes bad, it won't really affect your mental. You won't really, you know, it won't touch the vibes. But if you've had too many, right now, some teams at the bottom of that leaderboard right now are looking a little bit stressed.
Yeah, I mean, we can even look down there at teams like, surprisingly, Aurora,
Yep.
who managed to bring things back in such a huge way this game. They may not have placed in those like top couple of squads,
Yeah.
but I would be surprised, Graceful, if Aurora are looking at this game and going, this is what the building blocks of a win looks like for us, especially on E-District.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing is that, you know, some of their other games, they were definitely struggling. This game, they were in endgame leader.
Yeah.
They just repeat a fight and they mocked them. And then they got thirded. And then that team got thirded. And that's just how it goes when there's so many teams alive. The action is constant. It's impossible to capture all the action because we're constantly looking at, they just wiped, oh, other side just wiped, they just got thirded, they got thirded. And the constant action is just so much fun.
Yeah, yeah. And it is really difficult to, as an Edge team who's controlling a lot of open space, actually manage these end game fights. It's been tough for Aurora. There's a lot of cover on E-District, but that's what we like. There's a lot of excitement on E-District, and I'll tell you what, we'll return right after the break.
Got a lot of blood on my hands. Now some of it is yours.
It's time.
This is where it ends. I love a dying world. Everyone deserves a chance to rise.
The truth will be known to all.
Bigger the sword, greater the ruin. Tragedy. It brings out your real character.
Sony InZone, the official monitor of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Pushes! No, my wall bugged. Left. I knocked him off fight. Nice. I'm cutting. I cracked one. I'm sealing. Fighting for us. Top 4, top 4, top 4. Look
Get
left,
ready,
ready,
ready.
left,
Let's go,
left,
let's go,
left,
let's
left.
Here.
Look left, look left.
Look left, look left.
Ramp
Up,
one
up,
on left, ramp
up,
one
up,
on
up.
left. Get ready, 3P, get ready, 3P.
They're weak on the left. Weak. Play now. Go on.
Nice.
Nice.
Come on, baby. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go.
Let's go. Good shit.
This is our fucking land, baby.
Dude, they threw 5 ALGS stars on the top of the bubble. Did y'all know that? Or were you guys like...
No, they
I
coordinated that really well.
They did. I just reacted to it. I couldn't comment in time.
Oh.
I like dodged to the other
Good
side of
shit,
the
dude. Come
castle.
on. Good shit, baby.
That was a fantastic end game play out of Cloud9, and we've commented on it even as it happened. Cloud9 knew what they needed Falcons to do and pushed them into it. Now, we had a lot of praise for Falcons as well, who then turned that into taking out several other squads along the way. But I'm looking at this and still thinking about C9 and their macro game plan and what's made them such an unstoppable squad throughout this year. Because Cloud9 has been really a mainstay of our LANs, of our professional play, and it's not in this crazy flashy way that we'll see teams like Game and Gladiators in match point finals just, suddenly start to sweep people away. We're not seeing Cloud9 do things like that. We're not seeing them play like Alliance and get super aggressive. Cloud9 play a very zone-centric style, and I think what's really impressive about them is that they know how to play in a lobby where other people also know what they're doing, which is a weird thing to say, but Cloud9's game plan gets better when they're playing with better teams because they know how to manipulate the right win conditions, and other teams need to be able to read that, like Falcons did, to say, our win conditions no longer fighting Cloud9. And the awareness that Cloud9 have about how to manipulate that is really impressive.
Calm and strategic indeed, and exactly what you just explained is why, when we have online qualifiers, we see great teams fall in earlier rounds. It's because they haven't adapted to playing outside of these stacked lobbies, like we like to say. Is that Cloud9 knows how to play against LAN lobbies, and a lot of the good teams, that's what they're accustomed to. But when you get thrown into the fray, and I would even say group stages as well, some group stages, isn't as what people consider stacked, but they play differently than, let's just say, finals lobby. And C9, especially in this series, have, shown promise that, hey, once we figure out how this lobby feels and plays, we're in a great spot, and that's why they're at the top right now.
And, they've been very supportive of one another as well, really uplifting each other.
Yeah.
TSM, I think another team that has been, especially this year, they've really come together and brought each other up as individuals, as players, and a lot of that comes down to support not just inside of a team, but outside the team as well, and in specific cases like this one, from inside the family. We actually had Lace sit down with Verhulst's brother, Verhulst's family, famously supportive, to talk to him earlier, so let's hear from Lace.
I am back in the fan zone where you can see some merch booths from your favorite pro teams, but I'm here with TSM. This is their merch booth. I've got Weston, the #1 brother, but #2 to Evan. So why don't you take us through a couple of the things you've got in the TSM merch booth?
Love to, Lace. Thank you so much. We've got the Verhulst TSM collab special edition for Sapporo, Japan only. We've got the cream hoodie, come get it while it's hot, and then we've got the t-shirt as well. And then we have some custom Verhulst merch on the side and some free goodies. So get those before they're gone. It's a hell of a time.
Well, thank you so much, Weston. It's always a pleasure being here with you guys, but come visit the TSM booth here in the fan zone.
Go check out the fan zone. Go check out what they've got because that merch looks really, really nice. I like the cowboy shirt. It has a nice rustic feel, but it's got the Japanese characters as well. I'm gonna be going to check that out a little bit later.
I'm most definitely checking out the merch later. All the types of merch that are around this area, and I think everybody has leveled up specifically for Japan as well because they want to feel welcoming to people and feel maybe more at home, at ease, and I think they've done a great work, all of them.
Yeah, a lot of our teams have really stepped things up. I know that 100 Thieves and Crazy Raccoon had a collaboration as well that has produced some really nice stylized goods. However, refocusing on what we've got in front of us right now, it ain't merch, it's game number 6 that'll be bringing us back to E-District, where Cloud9 just managed to find a fantastic win right in the center. Now, I do wonder, moving on towards our next match, it is unlikely that we get a repeat zone from the last game. However, the last time that you and I cast E-District, we went all the way down south towards Old Town when we were looking at our second game, and we've actually seen that zone pull up a couple of times. What I'd like to see is maybe having us move a little further north. I was mentioning to you that I'd really like to see a Galleria end zone. Electric Dam could also be really exciting, and I really have enjoyed in the past seeing resort end games as well. This time around, it looks like as we drop in, as we have finally begun match number 6, that we will be moving again up towards the north a little bit further, even further than last game, as Energy Bank doesn't appear to be where we're initially pulling, but Falcons over at Electric Dam do have some of the first ring involved.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this map, and you said Electric Dam as well, I think last zones went towards more Humbert Labs, and I like those endings, even though it's a little bit chaotic. I think seeing Cloud9 here getting ready as well, already getting the purple shotgun bolt, which I think everybody loves now in the shotgun meta, is nice. And Aurora, I think they also opted in to play Mirage this game, which I think is fantastic. I like Mirage a lot, and I think he has a lot of potential, specifically in bubble fights, if you manage to pop that ult whilst you're in the bubble fight, not before. We've seen a few accidents of, you know, maybe it's fat fingering, maybe it's a little bit too early, but you really need to make sure that you pop that whilst you're in the bubble fight to, you know, open up a little bit of a window for your friends to peek when they shoot the decoy, which is perfect.
I mean, incredibly fast cooldown on Mirage Ultimate as well, so if you are planning to chain fights together like Aurora tends to do, you can do that very easily, and safe resetting is something 9 Impulse will have, with the ability to go invisible, reposition while healing, which is incredibly valuable. And well, let's say I look forward to seeing how they use Mirage as well. I think they made pretty good use of it last game, but I didn't see anything crazy being done with Mirage. We've still got room for those wild plays. Looking at the ring, it looks like we'll be going a little bit further south this time around. In fact, Exo Clan and Game and Gladiators are already setting themselves up in pretty nice positions for the endgame.
Yeah, this area that they're playing in as well, I like that a lot. It's very cozy because you also have the SIP to come back up, but they already set it up with rampart walls and everything, and so they're pretty much going to be guaranteed into late game straight away, because they were in the late game last time in that building, remember, and now they're in the next one as well. That's often good for them.
Over here at Heights, I know that Ninjas are going to be rotating in pretty quickly, but I'm looking at GHS Professional out of Old Town and wondering what they'll do with Zero Tenacity right next to them. This is an isolated 3v3, and GHS Professional actually were looking to get aggressive last game and couldn't quite make it happen. Maybe they're itching a little bit more this game to actually shut the fight.
Yeah, you have to take this fight simply due to the fact that it's the last game. You need to make something happen, and what other way except pushing fights is there? If they get this down, and they get that down, they do trade, but they did get a big down here, is that it needs to start the momentum somehow, and pushing a fight and winning it is the best booster you can do to these players that currently are sitting in the 20th with 11 points.
Having this be a 1-for-1 is a little bit awkward, like you mentioned. The fact that a res is going off makes it a little bit more so. Arupa is behind, completely unspotted. Jumps off, tries to hit a wall jump, but still manages with the G7 to take out Shex. This is now the last members left of Zero Tenacity up against 2 members of GHS Professional, who are playing things carefully behind this rampart wall, but Arupa's bubble goes away, and he can't do much about it. Now Taita's on 1 HP, and he doesn't manage to hit the shot through the door. GHS Professional go down, and Bambino saves the day for 0-10.
Saving the day indeed. He played that ramp wall perfectly, because sadly, they misplayed the bubble, did not know when it was going to fall down, and it did. Shopify Rebellion looking for another fight in a bubble right now. Huge crack and hit Nate. Second crack, third almost on the Gibby as well. Sainu cracks all 3 of them. Other people are just cleaning up the fight, dropping on them down low, and that was clean.
Zainu did like 200 damage there.
He cracked all 3.
Yeah, that was absolutely nuts in terms of setup for MT and Koifel to just swoop.
Look at him smiling. I see him smiling.
He knows
it. He's like, oh, my boy just cracked all 3. We just clean that fight real quick.
Yeah, I mean, that's the power of Shopify Rebellion. Like, this team was not shy about the fact that you take Zainu and Koifel and you go, these people are firepower.
Yeah, they are.
And you just throw them with MT. I mean, it's the same thing that made Space Station Gaming so powerful in our last land.
Yep.
Was you take Zainu and Koifel and you put them with a good IGL. The same thing is happening here. Shopify Rebellion are succeeding. It's Zainu, Koifel, IGL, Profit.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, that has been the success story in many teams. Hockey's Effect and Unlucky as well. There's plenty of those where, you see the success due to a big brain and gunpowder or firepower. And I think that's a good combination to have. Outside of that, though, we also have smart players. And, I feel like Aurora is one of them. Even though they're all MK, they still put up success with brains and also mechanics. And now we're seeing Gaming Gladiators right here. Lufka, ready with the Scout. Scout! Yeah. Really popular weapon this LAN. And, I think outside of the fact that he got buffed and is really good even without the hop-up, it also has the hop-up, which, again, I've said it before and I will repeat it again, especially when you have this hop-up on Rampart, which is really dominant right now and very popular. You get 50 bullets for every down. With Sheila, you get additional 50 bullets with every down you get. So that one runs non-stop. You barely even need mid-range because Sheila is just owning.
Yeah. As long as you're able to find Nox, you get incredible value. And it's no surprise that we're seeing Rampart be so popular. I am surprised at how Catalyst has been doing, well, Catalyst and other sort of like third picks, since we're seeing Newcastle Gibby so often.
Yeah.
I was looking at some of the win rates yesterday, and we had played relatively few games, but as of yesterday, Catalyst actually had a slightly higher win rate than Rampart as a third pick, which is fascinating when we consider how much value Rampart is getting out of the Sheila, out of her ability to like make use in endgame fights of infinite ammo on a very high damage gun. Catalyst just makes a wall. Yeah. But she is still slightly higher in win rate.
She just buys you space really and extends fights. Sometimes when you don't want to fight, she extends that time. Sometimes when you do want to fight, she extends that time as well. And she just gives you space. And the teams that have seen success with her, with the likes of Alliance, played it on Stormpoint, I believe. We see a little bit more here as well. C9 also have good success with the wall. It makes sense why the win rate is higher, because these guys that are picking it are playing it to the highest level. Now, seeing the zone as well pull a lot towards the east, and I think every single team that counted for an early zone here, or early rotate here, actually counted it right this time. I think we haven't seen that so far in any game up until this point in this tournament, where the early rotators have had the success of reading the zone properly without needing to over-rotate back, most of the time getting punished.
Yeah, I mean, a team that has yet to rotate in, and who I'm very curious about. Noctum have done quite well today, but they are a bit out of zone. They're going to be forced into playing the edge this time around, something maybe a little bit unfamiliar to them, at least on E-District so far. So let's go ahead and take a listen in with Noctum and see how they're feeling.
Yeah, one lever.
In front.
Right here. Or can we go back? Above, back. Okay, go back. Pick on here.
There might be here.
I think I heard someone on the right.
There's anything.
Just kick on past.
Watch out for the Lotus team. Yep.
Let's get to this building, and then I'm gonna look.
Watching that spot.
Okay.
Careful, Rods.
Yeah, the Z-o-o-m team should still be on the left.
And this is the thing that you see. While people are mid-macro, especially on LAN, everybody's so quiet. 9 out of 10 times when you go to listen to it, it's very vocal, it's very loud. Noctum, however, opting for the more silent option because they need to hear every single footstep. And they even thought they had a footstep. One of them wasn't even a footstep, but they're ready for anything, ready to jump out at them to react properly. And that's why we see them, they also have plenty of punch today, and that's great.
It was nice comms as well. They knew that somebody, we know Livian, but was rotating out of Lotus at around the same time as them. So it was good to just, even with the low tension comms, to be hearing them, keeping track of those variables and reminding each other of the threats that they face. Really important to just keep that information constantly circulating so it doesn't fall out of anyone's mind. Now for Falcons, who have just made a rotation in themselves, I suspect that the comms are perhaps a little bit less calm because they're currently engaged in a little bit of a poke battle, but Falcons themselves still have quite a bit of space to work with. My curiosity will be that Shopify Rebellion's also rotating basically right next to Falcons. These two teams are mirroring each other, and there is a chance that Falcons and Shopify Rebellion actually fight quite early.
Yeah, a lot of the time is that you actually know who the team is macroing. And Cloud9 right now as well, getting engaged on in a building with the bubble.
Even trying to poke up into that bubble. Naughty's going to be taken down. Saucer and Shubi heading for the hills. There is early rotation sort of style. Didn't quite work this game. They didn't end up getting a good spot to hold. And right now, Cloud9 are in no man's land on the outside, literally sprinting around a building that has 3-4 teams fighting inside of it. Team Burger even approached, has knocked him, hold the roof, and jump onto a whole nother roof to try and chase down Team Burger. Atnum's going for it, and with one more shot, one more good Mastiff shot, he is going to take down Sharky. Now turns the corner right into a Sheila, so does have to play this carefully. Doesn't look like any utility is going to be used. Knocked him back away through this corner. They're not finishing Sharky just yet. Bubble might go down on the other side of this. Atnum still trying to finish it, but they're not going to get to. Sheila buys enough time, and Knocked him don't have the utility, don't have the grenades to actually push through and finish this off.
Yeah, not being able to thirst there was bad, but they still engage.
Throwing themselves bodily into the bubble. Sharky's down, Wei is down, and Team Burger do fall. Knocked him waiting for that reset to start before they commit, but it felt risky even then, Graceful.
It was risky indeed, because they actually went for an option to try first. Only one guy was shooting the knockdown shield, I believe, and they couldn't get the thirst properly. The fact that they decided to re-engage in the rest as well, in the Gibby bubble, was a big risk move, but it turned out really well. Honestly, when they were on the same pitch, because they actually triple swung, we've seen a lot of options where duo swing and solo swing, and they get punished for it, even though they're going for a res. These guys triple swung, insta punish, insta cleanup. That was great.
Yeah, it may be a risky decision, but a decision they made together.
Yeah,
which really helping them out there, and of course for any team is going to really boost their chances of success. Now, because they've done that, it does mean that we are down yet another squad, but I want to take note of those teams that are on the outside. Orglis and Hungary to the south, Shopify Rebellion all the way out into this western side. Certainly a team to keep our eyes on, and especially Shopify Rebellion's potential interaction with Team Falcons, who are also sort of in the middle of this western side of the ring. Not quite in the next ring, but still sitting around the next zone.
Yeah, I mean, and we've also seen some pulls towards LG is in the building south of them, and we've also seen pulls towards a little bit north side of this big building. Gaming Gladiators, however, they have the absolute best spot. Not mainly because they can shoot stuff, but because then whichever zone it ends up pulling, they'll be in a great spot to take over something and or just hover people to force them out of their spot and then take theirs, which is great for them.
Yeah, as of right now, you're just, every zone that you're in next is a huge win for you, because you don't have to do anything and you get to continue bullying people, and from a high ground like this, continue collecting kills likely. Now, Falcons have set up in a pretty spread out way. Waltzy is basically solo holding this roof at the moment, and it's a matter of taking space for Falcons, partially to exert pressure on other teams, but mostly to keep themselves aware of what other threats are coming up behind and around them, because the promise of a position like Falcons that is in the middle of this zone is that people will be rotating around you, and it's a matter of punishing those squads on rotation if you're able.
Oh yeah, definitely. You just gotta, Falcons, like I said, is a mid-speed team, as most of the games we've seen this tournament as well, and they're just going from inch to inch, taking spot to spot, making sure they clear their bags, and if they aren't clearing their bags, making sure that they can close that gap to the next spot before needing to. Because if you know, once again, timing, if you get caught on mid-macro, somebody's gonna get punished. Earlier on, it doesn't matter as much because somebody can always get away and reset. This zone from now on forward is a lot harder to reset. Even more important to make sure that you can get out properly.
Take a look at the minimap in the top right. I'm noticing Cloud9 are actually still around.
Yeah, they got a reset.
Sorry, top right of the minimap that's in the top left. I should have clarified that. But Cloud9 still around, and actually still as 3, which is a pretty big recovery from them. Remember when they were sprinting around the outside of a building and it didn't look good? Well, now they're back in things, and they might not be dead center of zone, but they're a team certainly to look out for today. Now, Shopify Rebellion have put themselves on my radar, not just for being Shopify Rebellion, but also for having a Kraber, and now for going up against Team Falcons. Bubble is down already, but Shopify Rebellion want to get aggressive here. They bubble defensive.
The craziest part here is actually Shopify, both Koiful as well as Dino, has already broken over 8,000 damage in this series alone. And you saw them as well. They're still hunting people. They don't really care if they're not even in the zone. They're still shooting at people, you know, showing dominance and saying, hey, even if you guys are trying to gatekeep us, we're not letting you guys go for free. If you want to take us down, we're taking at least somebody with us. And that's why the teams are already rotating in a little bit earlier. But they're still checking every corner. Which side can we poke? And they even have a Kraber.
Nice job on this mobile shield, even with the Kraber shot going wide, but Empty's got to back off. Not a lot of HP left on this shield. Coifel making sure this retreat is a little bit safer as Z-o-o drops down, searches with the charge rifle and the select fire, but still comes up empty. Neither team really finding the first knock on each other, but Falcon certainly with the advantage here for a moment. Buy a little bit of space, a little bit of time.
We got to see a little bit of action of the nice new hop-up there on the charge rifle. Shout out to Casey, by the way. It's a big, upgrade to the charge rifle, and Z-o-o was making it work. He was doing so much damage and showing pressure, but knocked them here in the bubble fight already. Looking to take another fight.
Fantastic day for Noctum, and winning this fight could put them over the top of the group stage bubble. With Team Falcons going down, it's Noctum that collect those kills. That's 3 points that have 2 points that have gone to them. And that's to say nothing of placements. Noctum need to survive here in this last game of this most recent set. They could put themselves already in a point of qualification for the winner's bracket. They just need 2 more kills. They just need 2 more kills. That's all they're looking for. And Noctum searching around this corner, almost fish a little bit too far into the Sheila for it.
Yeah, and on the opposite side of Noctum is actually Shopify Rebellion. We were just talking about Sino and Coifel. They're there, ready with the Sheila, ready with the shotgun. Noctum opting not to overpeak, because what happened to Falcons actually might happen to them. They decide to bubble forward to break the LOS, going straight into a shotgun fight. Caught Shopify off guard, immediately downing 2 people. Comes down to the last Gibby. This is going to be an easy cleanup. They already cracked the Gibby, and they get it down because they were on the same page, Dia, sliding in, insta-cracking 2 people, getting 2 fast down, and that's knocked them free.
And with Shopify Rebellion down, with placement points and the kill points secured, Noctum have almost surely done enough to move themselves into winner bracket qualification. NRG taking a fight on the top are going to go down, unfortunately, but this is to Reignite, who are making their own journey up. TSM have started to find kills in the kill feed as well, and Noctum, our most recent additions to that higher bracket in the next stage, are going to be entering the building right underneath the Game of Gladiators.
Yeah, I mean, they already managed to close their way in already. Zone is pulling south as well, which is nice to see, of the building. Already setting up here as well. This is in a great spot for them, but they're going to have a little bit more action later on when the zone pulls as well. Reignite is sitting on the stairs, like we saw Falcons in the previous game as well. Stairs, honestly, when you have Newcastle, isn't that bad, but right next to them is Oblivion, seeing, hey, that when that bubble goes down, we're fighting.
Ooh, here we go. It's just as you said, Graceful. The bubble goes down, so does the castle wall, and so does Reignite. Reeds destroying Reignite.
The second that bubble ran out, the Newcastle slammed them. They got insta-mob, and that was just great to see. That was a super solid execution. They needed that as well, so they're on 32 points currently, and things are picking up, and that's good, because if not before, you need it in the last game, and that's where it's happening.
LG have gone down. Tough day for LG. Tough day for LG fans. And Oblivion are looking over all of these remaining teams and farming for damage. Nano really helping out with the Sheila. Now Ninjas are going to go down. 10 teams left, but still quite a bit for Oblivion to do, as they've got Zero Tenacity and Orgless and Hungry down there, but above them, we've still got the Game and Gladiators. TSM in this building as well. Looks like FaZe are sat in here, ExoClan on the outside, and of course we had Noctum, our aforementioned squad, who have recently won a small victory for themselves, making their way into the building as well.
Yeah, Noctum being on the west side of this building, whereas FaZe actually has the balcony towards the south where the zone is pulling. Aurora already set up pretty much right on top of the zone. We're going to be seeing a lot of chaos happening right now as the zone is about to move, and at least 5-6 teams have to move across the opening. We're going to see bubbles coming down, we're going to see GG blasting people, we're going to see so much happening, so keep your eyes on the screen right now, guys.
Could be a huge game for Oblivion. With just 9 points, they would move up into winner's bracket qualification as well. Sheila spinning up just to take out the Newcastle wall. They've been mopped up before, they know how this feels, so they're playing defensive. They have a flanker, Zero Tenacity, surprisingly behind them, but it costs Reeds and Blinkser their life. Nano gonna go for the res on Rampart. So much slower, so much less safety, and I don't think Oblivion are making it, no. They get taken out on the wall climb, and unfortunately for them, they will not be qualifying at least this early. into their matches. We still have several teams left standing. Orgless and Hungary, one of them who are fighting on the low ground. FaZe controlling the balcony and watching over so much. Meanwhile, TSM are going to go down. Aurora, having lost one, having lost two, have 9 Impulse still left alive. Let's see if he can survive on this Mirage. Still waiting for the chance to go invisible to reset, and he's not going to get it as Orgless and Hungry jump down, denying Mirage the chance to do Mirage things.
EXO, however, here at the bottom of the building looking to step out because all the action already happened. They still have their utilities. They're just waiting to walk out with the bubble. Bubbling straight onto another team ready, or perhaps just landed on them. Is this FaZe potentially? They are fighting FaZe indeed and just drop from the back and right on top of their forehead. Swinny is healing right now and they're looking to clean up into a 1v1. FaZe falls down.
And they commit one at a time, but they somehow win the fight. Swinny still alive, hoping for a reset for the team. Cloud9 looking for themselves as Shubi has already gone down, but Naughty is so focused on cleaning up other squads. Jumps on top of one, takes one out, but it's knocked him again to come out on top.
Knocked them once again. Came from the west side, actually. They were on the same building, but on the west side that actually had to move a little bit earlier than both FaZe and EXO, but since FaZe and EXO since FaZe landed on top of EXO, that gave Noctem the opportunity to breathe a little bit. Bubbled up probably the latest out of everybody since we saw about 5 more bubbles right there. C9 cleaning up the EXO remaining of the fight from FaZe and EXO, and then Noctem with the style, with the mechanics that they've had before, just cleans up that game, and they are actually ending really high up.
This has been an incredible day for Noctem. I mean, they've got to be proud of themselves, of course, but now moving into the next stages, moving into their next games, they get to carry that confidence forward and start thinking about how they're going to approach the next stage of competition, because at this point, with how much score they've accumulated over the past couple of days, you have to know that you're likely good enough to make it to the finals. At this point, you must believe that about yourself, as I certainly do looking at Noctem's play. And the question has to be how we're going to approach that. It's a 28-point game for them after this last round, and Noctem look unstoppable.
28. I'm honestly kind of sure that might have even brung them home the win for the day. They might even be in first spot. We'll have to see. Cloud9, once again, a little bit low on the kills, but good placement nonetheless. 13 points is nothing to be sad about. EXO, from the spot EXO had initially, already in the zone very early, I would say 5 kills is a little bit low end. However, you can't really be mad at the top 3. As we go further down though, however, past games, it's always been kind of close at the top. Maybe 4 or 5 teams have the same amount of points, but with Noctem taking a whole 28 out of this whole game, there's really not much left.
Yeah, look at how much further ahead they placed themselves. They were 4th when we started this game and have jumped all the way up to first by just 1 point over Cloud9. And I cannot praise these two teams enough, because when we're celebrating Noctem and their big victory now, Cloud9 being right behind them, what did not happen silently. These two teams were battling it out. Even in that final zone, it was still Cloud9 and Noctem that were deciding the winner between those two.
Yeah, Noctem, like, the most impressive part about Noctem in general is that they've just been taking fights for power spots, and even when they didn't have them, they just won fight after fight. But now, looking at the overall scoreboard as of now, Alliance sitting up top, Fnatic sitting up top as we saw. However, Cloud9, top 3. For me, about top 10 or top 8, I would say top 8 is pretty much guaranteed to make it straight into winner's bracket. Yeah. So those guys should be feeling very happy. And as you said, very happy and very warm, especially on the Japanese toilet. They are enjoying them indeed, because they can go home and rest easily after today.
Yeah, and from the calculations that we've had in the background, even top 10 are looking pretty safe right now. It's just based on, you know, the average amount of points that you're going to get from here on out. Now, looking at this next page where things do get a little bit sketchier for these squads, the game is not over, the day, the week is not over. You've still got time, of course, to make it up to the next bracket. But even if that is feeling a little bit tough, at this point, it is just a matter of preparing yourself for the next phase of the competition that is going to be fighting out of the lower bracket. So for teams like Shadow 3690, Supernova, Dragons, even Orgless and Hungary, who actually had a pretty good last game here on E-District, could still shoot a little bit higher, but are likely going to have to be fighting through that lower bracket. Just have to prepare themselves to the reality that this is going to be a slightly more stressful tournament, but they can still make it.
Yeah, a lot of these teams, you know, 50 points is not crazy. Like, a lot of the team have crossed 50 points, even, you know, in one series. So it's definitely possible for them to crack at it, but with the way that the games have been so far, you kind of got to lead. You know, have you read the lobby properly or not already, and have you gotten warmed up properly? Some of these teams still seem a little bit sleepy, maybe jet lagged, but some will definitely make it. I think as long as they take their time to recoup after today, they have a chance.
Yeah. There's certainly a chance for all of our teams, and that's the reality in Apex Legends. Whether it be the individual game, whether it be the tournament, you've always got a shot at making it to the top, and especially at this point in the tournament, that is so true. Now that's going to be it for Graceful and I after this wonderful series, but I'd love to hear it from our analyst desk, and especially how your predictions are feeling after Noctum topped that group.
Man, I mean, I feel like out of everybody, Jumbo's got to be feeling good because he was also talking about Cloud9, a team that did very well, but Noctum, we talked about this at the halftime. Coming in today, we've seen nothing but teams surprise us here in the best way possible. A really, really strong performance. 2 wins now out of that series for Noctum. Talk to me a little bit about the squad, Jayhawk.
Well, ultimately, the thing that really stood out to me in those games was they get 75 points for the win, but 58 of them come in those 2 wins.
Yeah.
So clearly, they're capable of these major pop-off performances. I don't know the exact numbers here, but I think those might be the 2 best games in terms of actual point total that we have had on this land so far. And so clearly, they have a massive ceiling. The one thing that I'm interested to find out is, do we maybe get some consistency moving forward? Because if we do with both, they could maybe be a real threat to even win the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think that when we start to see those types of pop-off performances, we can say that about so many of the teams that are currently here at Champs, because we have pulled the best of the best throughout the entire year across the entire globe to be competing. Right now, they're fighting for that seeding. We heard the casters start talking about it, and as we get through more of these series, we'll start focusing in on it more as well. But as these series finish, the chances, the opportunities for these teams to get those points on the board and start fighting for that winner's bracket versus the elimination bracket, it becomes tough for Jumbo.
Absolutely. This is when the pressure's on. We got 2 more sets here, which, you know, it's 12 games for these teams, but that's not a lot. You know, we got the cutoff getting higher and higher, as everyone keeps saying. And, you know, when you see teams like Noctum that can, you know, at first you're thinking that maybe they're not going to be up there. We don't have to worry about them. 58 points in 2 games, a 38-point banger, a 28-point banger. Then you're thinking to yourself, okay, we got to lock in for our next sets, because if we're not in that top 20 right now, we might have a long day tomorrow and on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll take a look at a graphic that's going to show us the results here, because Noctum had, like you were saying, Jayhawk, a nice road to victory, but a lot of the points that they acquired for that victory were in those 2 matches. And we talked about it the first time it happened, 18 kills for that 30-point win. Now, if we're just putting that in a match point final situation, 30 points in one fell swoop to get to that 50-point threshold could put you in an insane spot when it comes to Sunday.
Absolutely could, but at the same time, this is group stage. So, you know, this is one of those things where the lobby isn't as tough as it might be in that situation. So are they capable of having those massive performances when we do get to the harder lobbies? We have to see.
All right, well, either way, they got it done.
Absolutely.
For this group stage. Now, of course, if they win, we've got to get them up here to talk to us about the win. So congratulations. First of all, the drip right now, this is amazing. Tell us about how, first of all, the 18 kill win, how it went, and what you guys were doing right today in your series, because you looked so strong.
Yeah, so the 18 kill game, it was a rough start. It was a very rough start. We had to respawn 2 times, but once we get into zone, that's when we really convert into high kill games. We just need to get out of the early game into the late game, and we do well.
I mean, doing well is definitely an understatement here now. So let's talk about group stage in general, right? We've got day 1 out of the way. We're now into day 2. Only 1 more series for all of the groups that everybody gets to play. What has your impression of the competitive field been now that we're most of the way through groups?
We're feeling pretty confident. I mean, especially after this last series. It was a rough day 1 for us, but we're feeling really confident now. So feeling good.
All right, Animal, I want to, while you're up here, we're going to do a little bit of a review. Okay, we talked about just how strong those 2 matches were. We're going to take a look back at our final circle moments for those 2 matches because I want to get your inside perspective on what was happening here and why you guys were making the choices you made. What was going right? Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so in this game, we just play really slow. Like we're not the first ones to fight, and we always 3P stuff. So we just 3P all of the fights that we can, and then at the end we somehow managed to 2v3 the last team.
Yeah, I want to know, when you see teams like Reignite here and a lot of them just dropping the Sheila, what are you guys thinking about? How are you sustaining in this like tight circle to just make sure that you come out on top and with all the chaos?
With the Thermite in our bubble, it was very rough. You know, these end games are very chaotic, and sometimes, you know, it's not all skill. Like sometimes a team apes you instead of the other team, and you know, I think we played very well, but I think we also had some luck on our side as well.
I mean, luck is a little bit generous. Jay, talk me through your perspective for this as well, because we got to see what Atnum was able to bring to the table, but what do you get out of this as an analyst?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about luck, but at the same time, like you mentioned, in that first game, you have to respawn a couple times. In this one, you also had some moments where players are going down, you're having to reset. Y'all got back in that building. Falcons is right outside, then Shopify. What's going through your mind in those reset moments when you guys have the Gibby, the Newcastle, and trying to just stabilize?
Yeah, so we try to use our abilities like one by one, so we don't use both Gibby Q and Newcastle Q.
Right.
So we try to use them separately, and we always try to play our life so we don't go down.
Right. Is there some sort of communication there on, does the Gibby bubble first, is the Newcastle first? Is there sort of a default that you guys have?
Usually it's Gibby bubble first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
All right, well, Atnum, we've gotten you up here to chat for a little bit. Before we let you go, thank you for jumping on and chatting. Any final thoughts to leave us with? You've got one more series now you're going to play as a team. You've obviously set yourselves up well. Everyone's looking towards that winner's bracket, but what is the mentality and like what's the final goal for this last series?
Just to get to the end games, really, because if we get to the end games, then we have good games. It's just the early game is our problem.
All right, well, once again, thank you so much for jumping on here and chatting with us. We're not done with it yet, though, because we do have Lay standing by with an interview, so let's see what she's got. I am here with a Naughty from Cloud9. What an exceptional job you guys did. Now, what do you think were the decisions that may have impacted the outcome from the first place team?
So we put up 74. First place put up 75 points. So that's legit 1 point, right? And there's so many things that could account to that. A kill that may got res that we had, you know, could be 100 different things. But I think overall we started off decent. We had a good first game, slow, and then the last 2-3 games were pretty crazy. We had like 15 plus kill points in those last 2 games or so. But I wouldn't say any specific scenario. More so it's like, since it's 1 point, it's so hard to like pinpoint, you know, like one thing when there's so many.
Exactly. I mean, second place, that's still an exceptional job. But what's next for your team? Are you going to go back to the drawing board? What kind of things are you going to do for the future games?
I mean, tomorrow we land at Mill, so we actually have a bit of an upgrade. Or not tomorrow, sorry, later today we land at Mill. So we have an upgrade from Neon and Cito, sorta. So we're definitely just going to keep doing what we're doing. We have everything planned, everything, you know, pre-discussed. So we're just going to keep playing our game. Finally found our momentum. So that's all that really matters, you know.
Yeah, I can just see you guys with a big whiteboard and like everything strategically planned out. But you know, yeah.
Sauce is. Him and I have been through the ringer, you know. So since the start of this year, so.
Exactly. It's not about just the talent you put in. You've got to put the brains behind it as well. And of course, how is it feeling being in ALGS Championship here in Sapporo? It's got to feel pretty good.
It feels. I'm not gonna lie. I can't even put it into words. It's the most beautiful place I've ever been to in my entire life. First time in Japan, and farthest away I've been from home. So it's amazing. Big shout out to Shubi, best castle in the game, my teammate. And yeah.
Well, you guys did an excellent job. Thank you so much, Naughty. This is Naughty from Cloud9. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks so much, Lacey. Yeah, we talked about just how strong of a performance Cloud9 had as well, and I'll give you your flowers for this one, Jumba. You talked about him heading into the series, so this is your moment to hype them up.
You asked me for the team to watch, and they were the team to watch, in my opinion. I'll take it. You know, yeah, it was awesome. As you just heard, Naughty right there, Shubi, best castle in the game, and I right now have to agree, he's one of the best out there. Like I said, the way he uses his abilities, they are just so good at keeping his team alive. They needed to get that placement today. They got it with several top 5 finishes and taking out a win, and coming out with 74 points from this set. I think that they're happy in going into tomorrow.
I mean, things have really kind of balanced out now that we've gotten through 2 rounds of our round robin here, Zephyr. Only 2 more left to get into for our group stage. So where are you at mentally now that we've kind of gotten even more information for this playing field?
It's going to be tough because ultimately when we talk about some of those teams that are on the cusp here, you sit at around this margin of about 40 to 50 points, which realistically we see that quite a bit with any one of our standout rosters. But standout is the key point here. Usually that's only, at least in this group stage, the top 7 or so teams within a series. If you've only got one more chance to prove yourself before we start to break up the bracket, it is a lot of pressure to deliver.
All right, Jayhawk, now we talked about this starting off today, and we were kind of waiting to see if we were going to get a big point sponge at the top or if the teams that already had a lot of points were going to let that kind of shake down to the bottom. Talking about that cutoff point for making your way into winners versus being in that elimination bracket. We saw some teams step up to the plate that needed to get those points, and things are evening out now. So tell me your thoughts on where everybody is in regards to that, and then also how you think it's going to end up playing out.
Yeah, I believe the cutoff right now is kind of in the 60s range, so I'm still expecting it to get up into the 90s. And so it's about what we do expect. And so now everything's been clarified. With every team now going to their final set, they now know, okay, if it's going to be, let's say, about 95, let's just be a little bit generous there, this is the exact amount of points that we need. Some of these teams are going to have an absolute massive set like Noctum or Cloud9 just did. And so if that's the mentality, I'm looking to see who's going to start taking risks, because some teams are going to be playing a little safe, others are going to be playing for draft position in the winners bracket like an Alliance or a Fnatic, but some are just playing for their LAN hopes of getting in, and they might have to go huge.
This is why groups is always fun. The play will change as we continue on through the competition, but we still have 2 more series to get through. So if at home you're wondering what that means as far as the rest of the day goes, don't worry. All right, we will break it all down for you. 2 more series left on the day. Each of our groups have 1 more series to play. So like we heard the desk saying, 1 more opportunity to get those points on the board, whether that's trying to get into the bracket you want to be into or fighting for that seeding position when it comes to the POI draft. So right around the corner, we'll have groups B versus C, and then to close out the day, we'll be ending with groups A and D. And then when it's all said and done, we will know who is in which bracket and which squads will have to be battling it out in that elimination round 1 just to stay in the competition here at Champs. But like I said, we still got a little bit more to go before we get into it. And before we get into series number 2, it's time for a short break. When we return, B versus C. So don't go anywhere. More ALGS Champs coming your way. It's going to be another exciting day of Apex Legends, and I can't wait to see what our teams have in store today.
It seems like everybody is ready to go.
We at the top. Got it on lock. We going hard. Haters get dropped. Time to let 'em go.
Sheila sings for the host! And that's how you make a statement with TSM!
And this is what we wanted to see yesterday.
You're just shooting the dome, and this is free fair for Noctum to finish off that jet!
Most dominant game we've had so far.
But Cloud9 sweeping behind them to take the win. Knocked him again to come out on top.
Alienware, the official PC of the Apex Legends Global Series.
失礼します。
いい？部活とか持っていかん？もちろん持ってよ。バナナとこれが回るって。大会のこれブドウ糖のやつ落ちるよ。ブドウ？炭水化物食え族だったらあんまかっこいいのパウが出ないから炭水化物食えっていう教えのチーム。いい方手柄じゃないですか、コーチはね。コーチはね、マジでそう。ジャージいいね。俺も着てみよう、ジャージ上。本番ジャージでいいかも。まあそうですよ。俺らもジャージ着なって寒い。上に着るんじゃない？半袖だったらこんなにしいんじゃない？キーマンはやっぱ半袖。そうなんだよね。長袖引っかかんだよな、あのカバーに。そうね。うわ、つら。それがね、でもこんなに薄いだったらまくればいけんじゃないの？ミーティア所属のクロトンと申します。よろしくお願いします。はい。アマチュアさんと春華さん来たらね。春華さん来たの？そう、撮ったの。ポーズ考えるかいいっすね。何がいい？リアル？はい。こう。でも食べて。やっぱ生きないといけないね、これ。そう。もう本当にめちゃくちゃ格好つけてください。バッチリ。これでいいじゃん。そう。どういうこと？いいね。めっちゃかっこいい。無理がある。あ、でもいいかも。もういい。むずっ。めっちゃうぐらい。はい。使われたら目立つ。ミーティア所属の熊と申します。今回ちょっとガチすぎる。リーダーの中になんか注目選手かな、マッチが終わった後いける潜在とかはじゃあそれぞれじゃあチームで選出してることでいいですかね。これないかな。そうなんですよ。だから正面あれはなんかそのなんだろう合間というかそのあれで撮れてるやつだけど、そもそも LGS の多分クリエイティブに出す用の写真は別だから。お茶だけ。あれめっちゃかっこよかったっす。信号機。信号機そう。俺船木君信号機って俺なんですよ。スキンが色がね。綺麗に。あとは横で横向いてそうしましょうか。で、これもちょっと真面目な感じとニコッと笑う感じなんで、最初マジで優しい方です。そうでもないです。そうでもないか。しょうがないです。あ、いいですね、いいですね。かっこいい。あ、めっちゃかっこいい。あ、いいですね、いいですね。じゃあ次はニコッと歯を出してもらう。あ、そうそうそうそう、いい。かわいい。なんもねえです。なんもねえ。っぽいやつ。顔でやってください。顔じゃないですか。売れますか。はい。かわいい。かわいい。かわいい。かわいい。なんか顔して。顔で。それでちょっと顔に近い方がいい。あ、これですか。うわ、かわいい。クッキーじゃんこれ。いいね。笑ってもらっていいですか。いいっすね。めっちゃいい。いいっすね。
ミニティアエイペックス部門所属のリーブレースです。よろしくお願いします。
書いてもらって。
まずミニティアポーズ。ミニティアポーズのちょっと歯を出して笑うバージョンちょっと顎振って顎引いていこうみたいな。なんだろう。 でその次は腕組みして真面目。あ、いいっすねいいっすねいいっすね。そうか。いいですね。いいですね。そしたらオリジナルのなんかそのキャラを
みんなで。
なんかある？
もうねどうなんだろうね。ちょっとなんかこう。ああ確かにそれはなんかそれだっていいっすね。これいいっすね。あいいっぽい。
で後ろ手こう。
めっちゃいい。ちょっと半ミリまあこれいいかも。
おもろい。強そう。
そんな使わ
ない。エイペックスのコーチをやってます。大和です。
いいですね。そしたら次腕を後ろに回してはい。チーム紹介みたいな。ありがとうございます。あんまり見ないんですよ。コーチ。
見たことない。
これからこのミディア。はい。ミディアをこう。はい。これ前に突き出してあ、そうですね。はい。あ、そうするとあれか、ここが見えなくなっちゃうのか。でも大丈夫か。
はい。出る。
はい。
あ、そうです。
3、2、1。あ、ちょっと逆。
これで、そうです。あ、いい感じです。
3、2、1。
いいね。いいと思う。
ポーズの山本さんあんま見てない。
腐ったポーズ。どんな感じなんだろう。ポケット手入れ安定か。
そう、ポケット手入れで。めっちゃ入れていい。めっちゃ
笑ってるところもすごい。あ、それいい。あ、それ俺好きだよ。あ、それかっこいいかっこいい。めっちゃかっこいい。
とんでもないチーム。イメージは悪いです。全員暮らしが。これぐらいがいいんですか。
笑った感じ。
いやもう。
3、2、1。
かっこいいですね。
あ。そっちに入っちゃってよくなかった。トンが頼んだバーガーでっか。そんなん作る。でかい。朝食べてないから。
これが腕組みした感じ。
はい。顎が20人目。やっぱり。めっちゃついた。ここ？うん、そうそう。そこら辺がすごい感じる。ちょっとあれですね、レタッチっていうか、これを綺麗にしてもらえる感じ。
あ、できました。
その
なんかちょっと薄くなった顎。いいですね。これ使いましょう。
これ使いましょうか。
これも俺もない。そうですね。こっちもないですね。
これにキリッとする。
キリッとしますね。確かに。
これはなんか
メガネかけた瞬間顎で。
メガネよくね。
あ、メガネ結構。
本番メガネでしょでも。
そうだね。本番メガネかける絶対に。
メガネ可愛い。
メガネ可愛い。
ミ
ーティアポーズです。ミーティアポーズ。
もうそこが気になっちゃうとしても。
ミーティアちなみにミーティアポーズちょっと似てるんですけどこれとこれ。
あ、そうですね。
どっちの方が？メガネなしの方が俺はいいかなと思います。メガネありの方が可愛い。でかっこいいのがメガネなしみたいな。
どっちで売る？
どっちで売る？
でも大会は
どっちにせメガネ
絶対そうですよ。
そうですよ。
どっち路線で売りたい？
どっち路線で売りたい。
すごい可愛いって可愛い素敵だな。
二重顎系可愛いで。行ってくるか。
チーズケーキ食べてます。
これもかっこいいと思う。
なんかどうやらスポンサーさんが
ここで変わりました。
これの配信？
じゃあメガネありバージョンにしましょう。
あ、わかりました。
で腕組んでるやつはなし。さっきの赤いやつなんで。
あ、はい。
ファンミのあれで。
まあなしとかは全然ない。
意外とスポンサーな感じで見てる。
あ。
これもそろそろ発言中する。
赤のやつがいいかなと思った。
あ、わかりました。
それもまあ
これもそうですね。いいですね。 これもまあ一応全部
はい
見てもらうので、
はい、
後でまたお渡しします。ただ
あわかりました
この色がついてるやつを
はい
またちょっと色調整とかもしてお渡しします。
はい、
はい、
ありがとうございます。
よろしくお願いします。
はい、じゃあ熊から。
はい、では、
熊の
はい。あ、こちらそう。こちらがちょっとこうやってやったバージョンですかね。と。
いいね、いい感じで生きてる。
いい感じに生きてる。
これ、あ、これニコッとしてるやつですね。かわいい。かわいいです。
かわいい。そろそろかな、熊さんポーズ。
そろそろ熊さんポーズ。
そろそろ来るよ
これの次。
いいチャンス。